Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started. We have Deb and Steve here from the Vermont Small Business Development Center, and they are going to be talking to us about starting a small business in Vermont. So the goal of these Knowledge Bite webinar sessions are to provide a high-level introduction to resources, tools, and programs that either work on or support economic and workforce development. At the end of each session, including this one, Deb and Steve will provide contact information. So if you need any more information, please feel free to contact them. The structure of these is that there is a 20-minute presentation that will be given by Deb and Steve, and then 10 minutes of question and answer. Now, I have everyone muted on here, so if you have any questions, please go ahead and enter them into the chat function. And we'll go ahead and get started. Let me just switch presenters here.
Good morning. I think we're on finally. Sarah, are you hearing us? Can we get some confirmation that this is working?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So good afternoon and welcome everybody. My name is Deborah Boudrieau and I'm the area advisor for Windham and Southern Windsor County. And I'm sitting here with my colleague
Steve Paddock, and I'm the area advisor for Bennington County, and then I also work on the Windham County Economic Development Project.
So we're happy to be here. We're going to tell you a little bit about what, as soon as we can make this work, a little bit about what we do. I'm trying to change slides right now, and we're having a little technical difficulty, so please bear with us. Sarah's going to come back and help us get to the next slide because we're pushing all of the buttons we've been told to push, and they're not working. So I'm just going to do this from memory. The Vermont Small Business Development Center is part of a national organization of small business development centers around the country. Just so that you know, our funding comes from the Small Business Administration, the SBA, and some match from the state of Vermont through the Economic Development Group. We offer one-on-one, confidential, no-cost advising to small businesses. We help Vermont businesses access capital. Last year, we helped with $25 million. We're very proud of that number. We work with them to increase their profitability and add long-term value to their business. We have 5 advisors who work in various counties across the state. Our website is new. It got launched. We've had a website for a long time, but our new website got launched last week, so we invite you to find us there and look. It's VTSBDC.org. We are nationally certified, and we have trainings every year to keep that certification in place. So you can trust that we know what we're talking about, at least most of the time. Also in Vermont, it's not a national requirement, but in Vermont it is that all of the advisors have run their own businesses. So when we're sitting and talking with someone, we've had that experience. So today we're going to bring you through a couple of things. We're going to bring you through a tool that we use a lot called the Business Model Canvas. It's gained a lot of popularity across the country. Here's the basic Business Model Canvas. The reason that we use this now more than what we now refer to, and I'm sorry if there are any bankers on the line, we don't mean to be dismissive, but the old-fashioned business plan, which was the big notebook with all the tabs, with the executive summary. What we found is that that's a kind of archaic tool in this day and age. So what this business model canvas, in these 9 blocks, there is a total business plan sitting in one page. Our clients love it. It's much more flexible. It's more creative. It was designed in Southern California for tech businesses. It's gaining a lot of popularity. We have huge ones on our walls. We go through our clients. The idea is to do the first one really quickly, to look at, can we go to the next slide, Sarah? To look at them in this order. So the first thing that we do is ask, who do you help? Because there isn't a business around that doesn't have to solve a problem. So who do you help? What do you do in order to help them? How do you interact with them? How do you reach them? And how much money will you make from that process? The other side of the plan is the expenses. How do you do it? What do you need to do it? What will it, who can help you, and what will it cost? So you can see that all of the elements of any business are there. The clients like it, again, because it's so creative, and we work with them quickly to see if this works on paper before and then they sort of, there's some exercises that we call take it out of the room, where they verify a lot of the facts. And if we go to the next slide. We've shown you a very simple one. This is the simple one we show people so that you can see. Kelly's Lemonade Stand was a business that was going to have small kiosks at parks within the city that they were in. So very simple proposition. It was a personal relationship. Their value proposition was they were going to do cold, lemonade on the go. Their channels were only going to be through their booth sales. The only reason they had a website was so that you could find out where their locations were. They were going to make revenue from selling the lemonade and tips. What they needed to do that was they needed, in key resources, they needed their equipment, their booth, their salespeople, and their ingredients. They were going to just make and market and sell lemonade. They're a key partner with the municipalities, and their cost structure, you can see they were going to have to buy the ingredients, keep the equipment working, pay salaries and commissions, and produce flyers. So then you subtract the cost from the revenues, and you start seeing whether this business plan has any legs or not. Go to the next one. This is Amazon. It's really fun. A lot of our clients go on, and you can Google business model canvases, and you can see a lot of different business models out there, so you can see how the big businesses work. In Amazon, they put 2 on the same one. One of them was their Kindle sales, and the other one was their online retail. So you can see that some platforms cross. But this becomes, next slide, please. This becomes, oh, I don't want to go to that one yet. Go back, sorry. So we use this with new businesses. We use it with existing businesses. If an existing business comes in and says, can we go a couple back just to the regular model with the little questions about that one? If a business comes in and says they're having cash flow problems, I sometimes will bring them right to this and have them fill this out for me again. Often the cash flow problems will appear right away. Either they're having a problem with one of their channels, or their value proposition isn't, needs some work. They haven't looked at their customer segments properly. We can use this as both a startup tool and a diagnostic tool. So we do. And again, the clients love it because it's so creative and so flexible. And one of the problems that we see with long written business plans is that if you spend all of the time to do the business plan and the notebook with the tabs, and you've got a lot of research done, you can get married to that. And when you get married to it, you can hang on to it even when it's not serving your purposes. Now, once one of these is settled and we feel like we have a plan that's going to work, then we do dig in and do much with them. We do many more financial projections, and that's when Steve comes in and he can start talking about what we do on the financial side. So we would move from a business model canvas that felt like it had identified the right market with the right tools, and then we would do extensive financial projections to make sure that the business over time could be sustainable.
And this is a great tool for a business at any stage, whether it's in growth stage or it's pre-start for them. And it's so unintimidating for the owners to work with this, because the initial run-through on this is a 30 or 40-minute activity. This isn't hours and hours of labor and work. It taps into their creativity and gives them a palette, and that's why it's called a canvas, for them to express that. And by doing that, they work through ideas, they identify where they have any gaps, and it also then positions them to be able to talk about it to other people and to get input and advice on it. So I'll move on to the next part of what we do to help businesses, and our focus, our role in economic development is working one-on-one with individual businesses to help strengthen them. And as Deborah talked about, all the work we do with them is confidential, and so we're one of the few sources somebody can go to and have confidential conversations about their business to explore ideas and share their concerns and fears and talk through new ideas. And a lot of businesses that we work with are people that are highly skilled in producing a particular product or service, but they may not have a strong business background. And even those with a business background may lack strength in certain areas. And one of the areas that we find that is in business finance. And so we are particularly strong in helping businesses in the area of finance. That begins with capital acquisition, whether they're just starting their business or they're growing their business, expanding, or it's time for the business to transition and pass to a new owner. We do a lot of work on helping them prepare loan packages to take to lenders. And as Deborah mentioned earlier, we worked with businesses on more than $25 million worth of capital acquisition last year, and that's a pretty astounding number for the state of Vermont. Financial literacy is another important point, and that's helping people understand what's going on with their numbers and to be able to express their plans for their business, not only in a narrative in words, but then to put those in numbers. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to the numbers on the business, and that's how most owners measure whether a business is meeting their needs, if it's providing the financial return necessary for them and their family. And so another tool we do in that, in addition to helping them build their financial literacy, is with financial projections. And with the same idea that the business model canvas is looking forward to what their business will do and all the factors involved, financial projections are translating that into numbers again to lay out where they see their business going. And budgeting is an important piece of that, and budgeting not only for the operations of the business, but also for their capital needs, and then for whatever their growth needs are. And then finally, in this area of financial management and reporting, on an ongoing basis, all business owners keep track of numbers in order to meet the requirements for tax filings, but there's a whole other world available to them for management information, to give them information on where their business is profitable and where they have opportunities to increase that. So the financial management and reporting are...
Can I step in just a second?
Mm-hmm.
We use another tool we call course correction a lot, which is if we can get a business to do financial projections, to take those projections and match them up against the actuals of what happens in a month, so that we can show them, you know, you think your sales, you projected sales were going to be an increase of 15% this year, and you made a lot of plans based on that. Is that really on track? And if it isn't, what happened? So we really teach them how to use their numbers as a way to read the temperature of their business. There's so much information on a profit and loss statement, and once we can teach them that, how to use that, how to do some quick percentages, it's one of the most effective things. And if people, when they learn that, are really very excited, because often small business owners wait until their taxes come back from their accountant to really look at the numbers. And what we teach them is if you do that, you've lost 12 months of the ability to make any strategic changes.
The next area I'll touch on that we do a lot of work with clients is kind of bundled under the category of strategic planning. As Peter Drucker wrote, it's more important to be doing the right things than it is to just be doing things right. And we help bring that to the attention and planning for business owners and help them build their planning skills in order to make them more successful. And part of what we do is help them understand the difference of just working in their business on a day-to-day basis and getting their product or service out the door, as opposed to working on the growth and development of their business. And those are two entirely different areas. And you know, a lot of us and business owners included we tend to go to our areas of comfort, and so if we're uncomfortable in an area, we'll avoid it. And if people don't know how to handle planning and working on the strategic development of their business, a lot of times they'll just overlook it and focus on just getting the parts out the door day to day. So we help them step aside from the day-to-day activities and look at where they want their business to go. And then that helps them be in a position to be able to avoid mistakes and see things coming down the road and to take advantage of opportunities that they have as they occur. So finally...
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt again because Steve knows I like to interrupt a lot. Some people ask us often, and maybe this will be one of the questions, how do we work with people? So people find us in various ways. Most often we get referrals. We get a lot of referrals from the regional planning people. We get a lot of referrals from banks. Our biggest source of referral, frankly, is current clients or past clients. So we will work with someone, especially if they're going for a long package development, we will work with them fairly consistently over a short period of time. But then often I do with my clients what we call the pit stop, and they come quarterly often. I have some clients that have been doing this 7 years who are still doing the pit stop, and that allows, just for what Steve was saying, that opportunity to step outside of your business instead of working in it and work on it, and clients find that very effective. So we work with people in a variety of ways, but most clients stay for a very long period of time, I've found. Yep. I think Steve found the same thing. Sorry, keep going.
So, and finally, you know, what we do is a key to how we work with businesses, but kind of the most important part is what the outcomes are. And we do an annual study. We keep a lot of data on the work that we do with businesses and the outcomes that the businesses have. And this independent study that's done for us with our data has shown that our clients had an average increase of sales higher than that experienced by the average of Vermont businesses. So about 6 times or more than the average business. And additionally, the employment levels increased drastically more than other Vermont businesses. So we have other numbers as well as to how businesses who work with us benefit for themselves and provide for the economy, as well as helping to build strong communities and towns. So that's what we wanted to present to you this morning, and then open it up and have a chance to have questions back and forth. I think Deborah mentioned at the outset that because of our funding and the underwriting that we have, all of our work with clients is at no cost to them. So we don't begin with a short introductory period and then come in and have to charge later. And the other important part of it is that we have no limit as to the amount of time that we can work with them. We really seek out long-term, in-depth engagements. So we'll have clients that we'll work with for many years, and we're not a program that just allows us to spend 6 or 8 hours with a client and we have to move on to somebody else. So those are 2 key features that really offer a lot of benefits to the client, to have consistency over time and a confidential resource to serve as an advisor and coach to them in building their business. So are there any questions, any topics that listeners would like us to touch on? So as I understand, you're supposed to type that into the...
Yeah, so I have everyone muted on here, but if you do have questions, please type them into the chat function. While you guys are hard at work thinking about those questions, I have a question. What happens if you meet with somebody and you come to the conclusion that maybe it's not the best idea for them to start a business at that time?
Frankly, we consider that a success if we can get them to not start. There are really, the way I approach clients, there are 4 legs of starting a business that is going to make it sustainable. And I actually have a little table that I draw. And the first leg is the lifestyle. Is your lifestyle what's happening in your life right now, both personally and professionally, and And then the second leg is, what's the idea? Is the idea by itself inherently good? The third leg is, does the market exist for it? And the fourth leg is the all-important leg of numbers, and that's how much money do you personally need to make, and are the business numbers going to start that? Mm-hmm. And often, I think here, when I see businesses that sometimes it's just they shouldn't start right now. They should start later. They either haven't saved enough money, so they're not going to be able to get over that period of time where they're not making any money, so they haven't, and banks don't lend operating capital to new businesses. Sometimes it's that it's a good idea, but it would be a better idea if it were in Boston, because they have bigger, they have more population. So if we can get people to see that and not lose money, what we say is, fail with us first on paper, because we're free and you're not going to spend any money to do that. Right. So that we consider a success, because frankly, businesses, the national average is 50% go out of business in the first 12 months. So if we can help avoid that and get them to wait and be patient and gather the resources that they need, or use this business model canvas. One of the things about the business model canvas is, if you take it out of the room, we call it, and you do these other steps that happen after, and they get a no on it, come back. Entrepreneurism is about next. Yes, no, I got to know what's the next thing. How do I pivot? What do I need to do? Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, and the way we do that with clients is, I like to think of, we don't tell clients what to do. We help clients make the decisions that are right for them. Yeah. And so, in addition to accomplishing small tasks in their business or growth, they're also learning about how to go about making better decisions in their business. So we start out by drawing from them what they need for their personal family living, for a business to be successful, mm-hmm. what they need to take from it. And then we work through to see if their idea can help meet those needs that they have. And then they see for themselves whether or not that business is the right thing mm-hmm. for them.
Mm-hmm. Great. Looks like we have a question here, too. Great.
Okay. Hi, Lee. Nice to see your name. I know Lee personally. We have metrics from the SBA about how many clients, how many extended engagements we have. We just, because we're on a fiscal schedule with the federal government, we just finished our reporting in the last couple of days. And I had, I'll just be really open about this, I had 65 clients last year that I met with over time, and that's pretty standard. Obviously I can't see each one of those every week, but they come in when they need. We do meet with groups all the time. We all teach workshops around the state, and they're all on our website. So if you go to VTSBDC.org and go under training, you'll see them all. We also have a starting your own small business class that we run in each region about every 6 weeks. And that is a requirement to access our free advising. It's $129. It's 4 hours of really great information. And we kind of, frankly, for you guys to know, we use that as the tire kicker. If someone says, I can't afford a $129 class, then guess what? You can't afford to start a business, because it's going to cost you more than $129. So that's another way that we try to get people the information.
And statewide, our organization works with around 900 clients a year, which is
through training and one-on-one advising.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, Andrew, I see you had a question there. The most frequent mistake would-be entrepreneurs make. Do we have to list it to just one? The one that comes to my mind that is kind of the most difficult is for somebody to be undercapitalized.
Yeah, I was going to say undercapitalized too. So.
Because then, regardless of how good their idea is, they're kind of handcuffed going into it. And I guess I would pair with that then on the other side is that if they haven't proven the market need for their business, my friend Peter Drucker again said that the only reason for a business to exist is to meet a customer need. And I tell that to clients all the time that they have to be sure they understand what that need is and that they're the right business or they would be the customer's choice to meet that need. So it's that structural part of being undercapitalized, and then secondly on the market side to not being sure that they've really identified their market and ensured that they're going to meet a market need.
The undercapitalization piece can be crippling, and that's the sad stories that we see when people aren't willing to figure out just how much money they need to have saved until they break even, and can start taking money from the business themselves. Banks think the break-even point is about 18 months. And so you need to be able to get to that point before you can start taking a paycheck. And then we see them 2 or 2.5 years in, and they've got $50,000 or $60,000 of debt on credit cards, and then there's not a lot people can do at that point. So we try to get them to not do that, and we try to have them see what financing is available. And Lee has a question about microfinancing. There's a couple of alternative lenders who do small, higher risk loans. Interest rates are going to be higher on those, but sometimes that's, it's certainly not as high as credit cards or some of the online things. We try really hard to get people not to fall for these online financing deals that you see right now, because when you get into the fine print, sometimes that financing deal can cost as much as 50%. So it's kind of like the paycheck places that you see. You really don't want anybody going to those. So we do work with all the microfinance people, and we do work with all the banks. And some banks have smaller loan packages available. But the reality is even the microfinance people don't like to give too much operating capital up front because things need to be collateralized in some way, and that's sometimes the problem with some of the ideas that we see that they just don't have. So most people, frankly, do home equity loans on their own homes. They borrow from friends and family. We have some requirements around that we try to get them to put into place. But it's often a small business owner starts with a variety of options.
There is one program that actually offers 0% interest on loan microfinancing. It's called Kiva Zip, and if you contact one of us, we can give you more information about that. But Addison County Economic Development partners with that program here in the state, and it's kind of a cross between crowdfunding and a loan, and it's short term, but for true microfinancing, it is an opportunity.
And veterans, yes, and we can, we work very closely with some veterans groups, and so,
and there's a special SBA program.
And there's a special SBA program for veterans. There's a lot of misconception about SBA funding. Small Business Administration funding is usually a guarantee program that happens. The banks decide they want to pull that in. The only time that it goes direct is some of these veterans programs and after a disaster, where funding from the SBA is direct to the client. But there are some resources and certainly a lot of interest in helping veterans. And we all work, I think all of us have at least 1 or 2 veterans we work with most of the time. So
please be in touch with us with any of those questions, and we can help direct you to those resources or find somebody who can.
Great. Thank you guys so much. We have time for one more question if there's any burning questions out there. In the meantime, I'm going to switch back to my screen. Feel free to keep entering those questions. And I just want to make you aware of the upcoming sessions. Before I do that, a heads up, there is a Financing Working Landscapes Conference on October 20th in Weston, Vermont. Steve will be there running a panel, and it's for small businesses in any stage in the agriculture, food, or forestry / wood products sectors. But our upcoming Knowledge Bite sessions we have on October 24th. Emily from the Center for New Leadership will be talking about easing pain points for growing organizations. We have a special session on November 7th with Laura Sibilia. She will be discussing project submissions for the comprehensive economic development strategy we have here in Windham region. And then on November 14th, we have Fred Kenny, who will be talking about the Veggie program. Again, we're always open to suggestions. If there's a program or a resource or tool that you really want to learn more about, please email me or call me, and I will get them on this webinar. So thank you, Deb and Steve. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah. It was great fun.
Thanks for having us.
Great. We'll see everyone next time. Bye-bye.